Step outside tonight and look up, and you'll catch something in motion. The crescent is higher than it was last night, brighter than the night before, staying up a little longer each evening, clearly gathering speed. But notice what she's not doing. She isn't straining. There's no grinding, no white-knuckling, no visible effort at all. She's building unstoppable momentum through the quietest process imaginable, showing up one night at a time and letting it accumulate. And that's a correction most of us badly need, because we've confused momentum with force. We think that if a thing isn't moving, we should push harder. Tonight, August 19th, 2026, the moon at about 37% lit says otherwise. And the sun in gate 29, line 3, agrees. The line that learns to commit through trial and error, through the starts that don't work on the way to the one that does. So this is your moon letter about real momentum, why forcing kills it, and how it's actually built. Let's open it. The crescent tonight is about 37% lit, and she's unmistakably on the move, past the tentative early nights, climbing with real momentum toward her first quarter. But here's the thing about how she does it. The moon has never once forced her way to full. She doesn't strain against her own cycle, doesn't try to rush the light, doesn't grind through the nights. She simply keeps gathering a little more each turn and lets the accumulation do the work. Her momentum is completely effortless, not because it's small, but because it's built the right way, through faithful repetition rather than force. And the results are unarguable. In a few more nights, she'll be halfway lit. In a couple of weeks, full and commanding the whole sky. Enormous momentum, gathered entirely without strain. She's showing you tonight that the most powerful motion in the sky is also the least forced. That real momentum doesn't come from pushing harder. It comes from showing up again and again and trusting the gather. The energy tonight is momentum finding its feet, the feeling of a thing that's genuinely starting to move. There's real forward pull available now, more than in the fragile early nights. But the energy carries a warning inside the invitation. Don't mistake this for permission to force. This is the exact point where a lot of people ruin their own momentum. Something finally starts moving, they get excited, and they try to accelerate it by pushing harder, grinding, over-efforting, throwing intensity at it, and they burn out the very engine that was starting to turn. Tonight's energy asks for the opposite instinct. When you feel a thing beginning to move, protect the rhythm that's moving it. Keep the reps small enough to sustain. Resist the urge to sprint just because you finally can. The moon isn't sprinting toward full. She's letting the gather do its work, and it's more than enough. Match her tonight. Trust the accumulation over the push, and let momentum build the way it actually builds, quietly, repeatedly, and without strain. In human design, the sun is in gate 29, line 3. Gate 29 is the gate of commitment and perseverance, the power to say yes and see a thing through. And line 3 is the line of trial and error. Line 3 learns by doing, by bumping into things, by trying an approach and discovering through the bump that it doesn't quite work, and then adjusting and trying again. It's sometimes called the martyr line, not because it suffers pointlessly, but because it's willing to make the mistakes that teach, to take the falls that reveal how the thing actually works. And here's why that's the perfect energy for building momentum. Line 3 knows something the perfectionist in us refuses to accept, that false starts are not failures. They're information. The approach that didn't work told you something crucial about the approach that will. Line 3 doesn't quit when the first attempt stalls. It treats the stall as data, adjusts, and recommits. That's the actual mechanism of momentum. Not a flawless push in a straight line, but a resilient willingness to keep going through the corrections. So tonight, Gate 29 line 3 offers you a resilient kind of commitment, one that expects the false starts, learns from them instead of being stopped by them, and keeps gathering speed precisely because it refuses to confuse a stumble with a reason to stop. So let's be clear about why forcing actually kills the momentum it's chasing, because this is the mistake underneath 100 abandoned goals, and understanding it changes everything. The first reason is energetic. Force burns fuel far faster than any result can replace it. When you white-knuckle a thing, pushing through on raw willpower, gritting your teeth, you're spending enormous energy for whatever forward motion you get. It's the most expensive way to move that exists. And because the fuel runs out long before the destination arrives, the forced approach almost always ends in an empty tank, stalled somewhere in the middle. Second, forcing makes the thing feel like punishment, and we avoid what punishes us. Every time you grind through something joylessly, on pure force, you teach your own nervous system to associate that thing with strain and dread. So the next time comes around, there's now resistance where there didn't used to be, because part of you remembers the misery. Force doesn't just cost energy in the moment, it poisons your future willingness until you can barely make yourself start at all. Third, pushing harder treats a rhythm problem like a willpower problem, and they need opposite solutions. When something isn't moving, the forcing instinct says the answer is more effort. But usually the real issue isn't that you're not trying hard enough. It's that the rhythm is off, the step is too big, the timing is wrong, the approach needs adjusting. Throwing more force at a rhythm problem is like flooring the accelerator when the car's in the wrong gear. It just grinds louder and wears out faster. And fourth, the force sprint ends in the collapse that erases the progress. This is the cruel finale. You force hard, you make a burst of visible progress, and then you crash. And in the crash you stop entirely, often for long enough that the momentum fully dies and you're back where you started. The intense push doesn't just fail to build lasting momentum. It repeatedly destroys the momentum you already had. The moon never sprints, never crashes, and never once has to start over. There's the whole lesson. So how is real, self-sustaining momentum actually built? The kind that eventually carries you instead of costing you? For principles, all of them quieter than forcing. First, momentum is made of repetition, not intensity. The single biggest misunderstanding is that momentum comes from how hard you go. It doesn't. It comes from how often you return. The same small action, repeated, builds a groove, and once the groove is deep enough, the action starts happening almost on its own. One ferocious effort builds nothing lasting. A modest effort repeated 50 times builds a force that's genuinely hard to stop. Choose repeatable over impressive every single time. Second, treat false starts as data, not as verdicts. You will try things that don't work. That's not a sign to quit. It's the process functioning correctly. Each attempt that stalls tells you something about what to adjust. The people who build momentum aren't the ones who never stumble. They're the ones who read the stumble as information and keep going, exactly like line 3. The false start is only fatal if you let it end the whole endeavor. Third, lower the effort per rep, so the rep keeps happening. This is the counterintuitive engine of momentum. Make each individual instance easier, not harder, so that nothing can stop you from repeating it. If the daily step is small enough to do on your worst day, you'll never break the chain. And the unbroken chain is where all the power is. People break their momentum by making each rep too demanding to sustain. Shrink the rep, protect the chain. And fourth, let it compound, because past a certain point, momentum carries itself. This is the reward for building it the right way. In the beginning, every rep takes deliberate effort, but repetition builds a kind of gravity. The groove gets deep, the identity forms, the thing becomes what you do, and one day you notice it's pulling you forward instead of you pushing it. That's the whole prize. Not forcing forever, but building the conditions where you finally get to stop forcing, because the momentum has become real enough to carry you on its own. So, how do you actually move on something tonight without forcing it? 4 grounded moves. First, shrink the next step until your resistance barely notices it. Whatever you've been trying to push into motion, the step you're picturing is almost certainly too big, big enough that some part of you braces against it, which is exactly why it isn't moving. So make it absurdly small. Not the whole workout, the shoes on. Not the chapter, one sentence. Not the hard conversation, the first line. Shrink it until it slips under the resistance entirely, because a tiny step actually taken beats a large one endlessly postponed. Second, show up on the flat days, because that's where momentum is actually made. Anyone can move on the day they feel inspired. Momentum belongs to the people who show up on the gray, unmotivated, nothing special days. The ones who take the small step when there's no excitement carrying them. Those flat day reps are worth 10 inspired ones, because they're the ones that build the groove deep enough to last. Don't wait to feel like it. Show up especially when you don't. Third, when something isn't working, adjust the approach. Don't abandon the commitment. This is line 3's whole gift. There's a crucial difference between changing how you're doing a thing and quitting the thing itself. When you hit a wall, the forcing instinct says push through it, and the quitting instinct says give up entirely, but the wise move is usually neither. It's to step back, change the approach, and keep the commitment intact. Stay loyal to the goal. Stay flexible about the method. And fourth, trust the gather. Speed comes after the reps, not before them. The hardest part of building real momentum is the early stretch where you're putting in the small, faithful steps and nothing seems to be accelerating yet. That's normal. That's the moon at a thin crescent, gathering light you can't yet see amounting to anything. The acceleration is coming, but it comes as a reward for the repetition, not as a precondition for it. Keep taking the unforced step. Let the gather do what the gather does. Here is your ritual for the unforced step: small, sane, and sustainable. When the evening settles, step outside and find her. The waxing crescent, about 37% lit, climbing higher and staying up longer, gathering unmistakable momentum without a trace of strain. Watch her for a moment and let her show you what unforced motion looks like. Then name one thing you've been trying to force into moving. Something you've been pushing at, grinding on, white-knuckling, and that, despite all the force, still isn't really going anywhere. Name it honestly, and notice how much of your effort on it has been strain rather than rhythm. Next, choose the smallest possible next step for it. Not the version that would impress anyone. Not even the version that feels reasonable. The absurdly small one. The shoes on, the one sentence, the single message, the step so tiny your resistance can't be bothered to fight it. And finally, take that one unforced step tonight, and let it be genuinely enough. Do the tiny thing, and then stop without demanding more of yourself, without turning it into a grind. You're not trying to finish tonight. You're just adding one rep to the groove, the way the moon adds one night's light, and then trusting the gather to do the rest. Walk back inside having moved just a little, without forcing anything at all. So, let this be the letter you keep from tonight. You cannot force momentum. You can only build the conditions, keep showing up, and let it start to carry you. The crescent climbs to 37% tonight with unstoppable, completely unforced motion, gathering light one faithful night at a time, never straining, never sprinting, never crashing. She's showing you that the most powerful movement in the whole sky is also the least forced. So stop trying to push the thing that won't move. Shrink the step until it slips under your resistance. Show up on the flat days, where momentum is really made. Read your false starts as data, not verdicts. Adjust the approach without abandoning the commitment. And trust the gather. The acceleration is a reward for the reps, not a precondition for them. Real momentum is quiet. It's built, not forced. And if you build it the moon's way, repetition, patience, faith in the accumulation, you'll reach the point every forcer dreams of and never gets to, the point where you can finally stop pushing because the thing has begun to carry you. Thank you for choosing the unforced step tonight and for trusting the gather over the grind. A new letter from the sky arrives every single day, and as the crescent climbs toward its first quarter, the days ahead are about the quiet reps that turn into real speed. Until then, keep the steps small, show up on the flat days, and let momentum build the way the moon builds her light, without strain and without stopping.